All right, Linda Gooch, the head coach of UCF Cheerleading. Linda, thank you very much for joining us. Coach Gooch, I should say. Tell us a little bit about your history with the UCF Knights. I was reading earlier, and it said that you had just completed your 32nd season as a coach.
That's correct. I am a lifer. I'm a UCF lifer. I am an alumni of UCF and actually was a cheerleader here back in the covered wagon days in the early 80s. And started coaching on a part-time basis after I graduated and have been doing that ever since.
Wow, that's definitely impressive. I think a lot of people take the cheerleading for granted, to be honest with you. They see them, they see what they do on the field during football games and stuff like that, but they don't realize how much conditioning and things that these student athletes go through. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, we've always been very fortunate at UCF in that we've gotten great support from our athletic directors and our athletic department. And probably because UCF is relatively a young university, they've never really known, just sideline pom-pom cheerleaders. It's always been, since cheerleading has been the more athletic, acrobatic kind of alternative gymnastics type of cheerleading. And so they have always been wonderful about treating us just like any of the other NCAA sports, providing the support that's needed for them, and along with that comes a strength coach. And Jason Carlson is our strength coach. He also works with our football team and just does a great job with our team members.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to contact you and talk to you was last week during the football game, one of the male cheerleaders was doing his push-up, and he kind of ran out of steam a little bit. He looked really, like all the push-ups were kind of getting to him. This year, the team is having to do lots of push-ups because of all the points scored. How did this tradition start?
Well, I actually even remember back when I was a cheerleader at UCF, and at that time, all of the guys would do push-ups for all of the points. And the girls would we would put our foot on the guy's back, and they would do them on the actual playing surface, right on the field down there. And when I started coaching, one of the things that we were trying to think of is ways, of course, we were at the Citrus Bowl, the old Citrus Bowl back then, and we were trying to think of ways that we could get more crowd involvement in that. And the idea was, let's build some type of platform. And so 1991-92 was the first push-up board that we had ever built. And that's when it started. So it actually started, the push-up board itself started about 26 years ago. And we do a little traditional UCF spell-out after they do the push-up. And so it's been going on now for about 26 years.
Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed, I'll be honest with you, is when the cheerleaders do their back flips and their front flips one side of the end zone to the other. That's like one of my absolute favorite things. So
yeah, we have a couple of very, very talented tumblers, and Jay Hallman is one of the ones. And most of the fan. Jay has his own. I feel like he's got his own fan club in the student section when he goes across that end zone, especially the south end zone. He's very talented, and interestingly enough, you mentioned the push-ups, and you mentioned it was at the end of the game, and we had 63 to do, and we actually have a push-up board in both of the south corners, and so we have two young men that are doing push-ups pretty much at the same time, and Jay Hallman, the tumbler, was on the one side, and then the young man that you're talking about, Brandon Pendle, was on the other. And Brandon is the one that was captured on the Jumbotron doing the push-ups. And, they're on a rotation, and Jay is a senior, and so he probably knows how to pace himself a little bit better. Brandon is a freshman, and Brandon had already done 21 push-ups. And then his next rotation, he was at 42 push-ups. And then this final rotation, he was at 63. So Brandon was really doing like 130 push-ups the other night. And he made it to the end, but as you said, the crowd started to recognize he was struggling on certainly those last three. But we were proud of him, and it was just, like I said, as a typical freshman, you got to pace yourself when you know you got 63 push-ups coming.
Absolutely. We'll talk about the conditioning that they go through a little bit more. Talk a little bit about their regimen and what all goes into being a cheerleader. It's not as easy as putting on an outfit and grabbing pom-poms and megaphones and all that stuff.
Our team is a co-ed team. We're strictly co-ed, and that means that all of the girls are flyers. They're the ones that go up in the air, and then the guys are the ones that do all of the lifting. And anybody that's been to our games, basketball or football at UCF, they've certainly seen our team in action. And we are a competitive team, and we compete at the Division 1A level, and we have been one of the top teams. We've won 2 national championships, and it generally, I would say the last maybe 7 or 8 years at least, it has been a 3-horse race between the University of Kentucky and Alabama and UCF. And so we've had some really great fortune in competition, and we do take the competitive part seriously, but we still understand that, our primary role at the university is for our fans, and helping to engage them and get them involved in the game. And that's one of the things I think that the push-ups and the tumbling is something that really excites our fans. And I'll tell you, our students, they love holding us accountable. Boy, they expect to see every single push-up for every single point. And they really get into it, especially toward the end of the game. When you've got the number 1 scoring offense in all of college football right now, it certainly makes for some exciting times.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have that finally here at UCF, the number 1 scoring offense. That had to be something. Did you guys maybe prepare a little bit more for that, or you're preparing now more for that to do all those push-ups?
Oh, Andrew, no question. After those first 2 games, we've had historically in years past, we've had some games where it's gotten out of bounds and we've really gotten up on someone. But to have 3 games in a row like that, and really to have 2 in a row like we did, we definitely were thinking more strategically about this 3rd game. But and there's no question that when our team gets back in town and we're having the game against UConn and Austin Peay, we're definitely going to be thinking about what's the order going to be, and everybody understands because typically, if you're preparing for 42 points, that's pretty good. But to think that now, we really seriously have to think, are they going to score 60? What is the limit? So we do have to think about that.
Yeah, hopefully one of these days there's going to be a guy out there doing 100 push-ups. I don't know. Probably not.
Wouldn't that be something?
Absolutely. I don't think there's very many limits to this offense and how many points they can score. It's just I guess when Coach Frost wants to let off on the other team is going to be the limit of the points.
I think everybody understands, it's up to the other team to stop you. And our team is doing their job. And how exciting it is. Our fans are it's just very, very exciting to watch, and I can't wait to see what they can do this weekend up against Navy.
Absolutely. You've been involved in your family since your husband is a former UCF player, a former UCF coach, head coach at one point. You've been around a long time. Talk about what it's been like to see the transformation of UCF.
Yes, Alan and I, we've been so blessed by having the opportunity of making UCF really a family affair. And as you said, Alan was a football coach at UCF for over 20 years. And, just having the opportunity to share all of those great memories and those great moments through the years and watch the university grow and develop, and the years, just even those landmark moments that we had, even when UCF was 1AA and in the playoffs, just those exciting games and moments and, that we had back then, and then to watch it as it went from Division II to Division 1AA and then to Division 1A, and then to watch, what we have accomplished really in such a short period of time. It's, where we're situated in Orlando, Florida, and the athletes that we've got here, it's our destiny. UCF is absolutely going to be a powerhouse. It's just a matter of when. And it looks like this year might be the year we make another huge step.
Absolutely. I love it. How many student athletes do you have on the roster? Because you have not only the cheerleading squads for football, but basketball and the other sports, and the Night Moves team is included in that. There's tons of people.
Yes, sir. I have the great privilege of working with just an awesome group of young people. We carry about 74 in our Spirit program. We've got 8 that are on Team Nitro, and that's our mascot team, and 20 Night Moves dance team members. And then we usually carry about 20 to 21 female cheerleaders and 20 to 25 male cheerleaders. So typically around 40 to 45 cheerleaders and 20 dancers and somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 mascots.
Do you give out scholarships at all? Is that a scholarship thing?
Yes, sir, we certainly do. We do. We've got anybody that's been to our ball games, we've got some world-class athletes down there, and every coach will tell you, it's all about recruiting, so we've got to be able to recruit in cheerleading against the University of Alabama and the University of Kentucky, and so we've got to offer scholarships in order to be able to be competitive and to be able to attract those kinds of, that level of athleticism in. And we've just got some terrific young people that are a part of our program. And I'm just so proud of the great job that they do of representing UCF, both on the field of competition and at the football games and basketball games, and then also competing nationally for the cheerleading championship as well.
Speaking of the national championships, that's a thing that the UCF should hold very close to their heart, that we have national championship teams. Whether it's cheerleading or anything else, that's very important and very special. Talk about the history of the program, those championships, and especially I think it's that 2003 season where everybody, including you, has been inducted into the UCF Hall of Fame.
Yes, that 2003 team was a very special team. Up until that point in college cheerleading, the University of Kentucky had won 8 straight national titles. And so you had really 2 full generations of college cheerleaders that had never known another team to win in the Division 1A division, and we were able to do it, and came out as the number 1 team in Division 1A cheerleading in 2003. And that team was honored 10 years later in 2013 by being inducted as the first team to be inducted into the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame. And it's just a great group of young people that have gone on to do even better things, after they left college. We had doctors and lawyers and teachers and pharmacists, and every single one of them got their degree. Just very proud of what they were able to do. And then we did go on, and in 2007, we were able to repeat, and we won the championship for the second time in 2007.
You guys do a lot of stuff besides on the field. You do a lot of community work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we do, especially in Nitro, our mascot. He is tremendously popular, and he is out at all kinds of different philanthropic events. Our cheerleaders, we're getting ready to head out to the Orange County Teach-In and Seminole County Teach-In, and so we'll spend a day in classrooms at some elementary schools, and we have something that's very near and dear to our heart is a group of cheerleaders up in the Altamont Springs area. They're called the Sparklers. It's a group of special needs cheerleaders, and we have created a special bond with them and do some clinics and outreach and things of that nature with them. It's just really important, I think, that everyone realize that the university and the athletes, all the athletes at UCF, we understand that it's more than just what we're doing in competition and what we're doing with the athletic department. It's reaching out into the community, and I know that all of our athletic teams do a great job of that, whether it's packing meals or it's collecting cans for a canned good drive. They're very, very active.
Coach Gooch, thank you very much for being on here. Your team is absolute wonderful ambassadors for the University of Central Florida and the Orlando community itself. I really appreciate it, and I hope our listeners have enjoyed this today.
Andrew, thanks so much for inviting me and having me on.